Hey guys, welcome back to Fair Iron and Customs. I'm Michael. I hope everyone's having a great week. Valerie and I are on vacation this week in Ocracoke. Ocracoke is one of the barrier islands of North Carolina. It is just south of Cape Hatteras Island, and we come out here a couple of times, sometimes a couple of times a year, sometimes once a year, but we've pretty much been vacationing here for the last 20 years in some capacity for at least a few days or a whole week or whatever. Anyway, but while I'm on vacation, what I like to do a lot of times is if I've got a project on a guitar, I will finish wiring up the electronics, or I will, I've done a whole bunch of projects sitting here right in this very place, because we usually stay in the same rental property year after year. So this year, what I've got going on is my parents both had acoustic guitars as children, and my mom a few years ago gave them to me, and they're in pretty bad shape. I mean, if you figure an acoustic guitar that's not really been taken care of, and when we were growing up, they were always in my parents' closet. And not only that, but guitars, they're like everything else. They require keeping a good look after and whatnot. So I'm going to do the first of the two guitars. I took a picture of it when it was together earlier. I talked to Mom this morning, or talked to her by text message, and she said she thought it was Dad's guitar. It is a Truetone. It's like a student guitar. I'll show y'all. I've actually got the neck. I've taken the neck off of it because the neck was basically the only thing holding the neck was the soundboard. But this is what the guitar looks like. I've got it held in place right now. I got a glue joint repaired right there. I've still got one more of the spars to put inside the one right here, but I can only hold one at a time. With the clamps, I couldn't get another set of clamps in the tone hole. The back, all four spars were broken off of them, so I've re-glued, sanded, cleaned, re-glued. I've still got to clean up the old glue joint here. I believe this is made out of the glue joint on these things was what they call hide glue, which I also believe is basically horse. And I think that's traditionally what you're supposed to use to glue up guitars with, but I'm using good old tight bond. The neck, to remove them normally, you would have to break the soundboard, the underneath of the soundboard loose with just the different style spatulas or scrapers, and get under it and break the glue joint loose. And then to break the heel of the neck loose, you would pull the 12th fret out and drill a couple of holes in it, and you put steam down in here. But like I said, this is already broken loose. Matter of fact, none of that is new brake. This side may have, no, I don't think that is new either. So we still got to dig all that out. We've got to tighten up the tone. We've got to tighten up the neck. It had probably somewhere between 1/2 and 3/4 of space between the strings and the frets at the base of at the bottom of the neck. So it was really bad. This little bit of work that I've done right now, just re-gluing these little back spars back in, has made a tremendous amount of difference. Here in just a second, we're going to unclamp this. The tight bond requires, I don't know, I think it says at least 20 minutes. of dry time before you unclamp it, but not to load it for 24 hours. So they've been clamped up since early this morning. So I don't think there'll be a problem unclamping these places and letting them finish curing out naturally. But it's already feeling more like a guitar, more like an instrument than just a floppy bag of wood. Like I said, so far I haven't done anything that really, except for gluing spars in. The back on this guitar had already fell off. It had basically an inch of glue that was holding the back of the guitar on when we got down here. Another thing notable is I am putting a regular pin bridge in this body, so we're going to have to build a block to go inside the guitar before we get too far along with it. So I went ahead and glued that brace in, and I went ahead and glued this back down. The face came loose right here, so we will come back later. All right, guys, we're back at it today. I didn't record any on the guitar yesterday. We did go kayaking, but I did do a little work on the guitar. I went ahead and re-glued this brace, and I installed a new block for the bridge block inside the body. Now we're getting ready to glue the back on. I just cleaned it up. And I wanted to show y'all how I was having to clamp these pieces. I just was having to do what I could do through the tone hole to put a clamp on there. Like I said, I'm not at the house, so I don't have all my clamps I would normally have. Okay, guys, so I've got this started gluing up, and the guitar's out of shape a little bit. When you build an acoustic, you have a form to keep it from moving around, and I would expect you probably would come back and sand your edges at the last and either add a binding or then paint it or whatever. But I got the back glued up and the joint's really good. So I think whenever we come back, I'm probably going to work 3 clamps and get it in pretty good position. And, you know, because I only have 6, so I'll have to do 3 on each side. And I think it would, instead of gluing one side and then gluing the other side, I think it would be more prudent to start working 3, 3, 3, 3, and then do a last, maybe one more glue up here is probably how we're going to end up having to be. As you can see, this is one of the problems we were having, is the body at the front has flexed out. It was actually attached over in this area still when we took it apart, but the back was cocked up and the neck was sprung forward. So that's going to help us get our neck back into the position in which it's supposed to be in when we get this this block here, the neck block, glued back up. So that's just going to take all day, and I'll bring you back for the next glue up. Okay, guys, I've done the middle glue up section here. Everything's looking pretty good. I'm trying to get this joint to look as good as I can. Like I said, this is just a, I believe, like I said, my mom said this was Dad's guitar. I'm just trying to get this thing back to where it's playable and looking presentable, you know, because, you know, after I'm gone, there probably won't nobody legitimately take care of it. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do is do this final glue up. As you can see, we've got a significant gap here, but the body of the guitar is narrower right here than it is back here, so it's got to tilt down. And also, again, you see how much of a gap is right there, and that's the reason, part of the reason why the neck is the action so high on the strings. So I'm going to get this glued up. Then Valerie and I were going to go and grab something to eat, and I'll probably bring y'all back tomorrow. We'll be setting up the neck. Okay, guys, before I jump off here real quick, I just wanted to show y'all what we're aiming for, to make sure you have a decent squeeze out with your glue on this. And you can't put a ton of pressure on this because it's seriously thin wood. I mean, it's not got a whole lot of resistance to it at all. I'm going to have a couple of places that I'm not really happy with, but there's not a whole lot I can do. I've tried to make them look as best as I can, but as a whole, it looks pretty good. So we're going to call that a win. And like I said, tomorrow we're going to set this neck and set the neck and the bridge. And if I can get that done early enough in the morning, sometime on Saturday, we can put strings on. All right, guys. So I probably spent the most labor-intensive part of this little restoration job here this morning. Basically, the rest of it was sanding and gluing up parts and watching glue dry, which is, not really that hard, especially if you get into something else while the glue is drying. But, so what I did this morning was I cleaned out the dovetail, cleaned up the dovetail on the neck, and I made these two little shims to go in the dovetail to take up the slop. And I sat here and test fitted and installed the neck and test fitted and sanded and until I got them to where they fit pretty good. And I think we have the action at a pretty decent height. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this up because I don't think I'm going to get it any better. Okay, guys, so our places we're going to put glue is along the dovetail on both sides, and this area right here. And I'm going to have to glue both sides of the shim. And before I get started gluing, I'm going to go ahead and do one at a time so I can keep them in the orientation in which I have them and which I know they fit. So it's going to be hard for me to film and glue this up. I'm going to go ahead and glue it up, and we'll come back. Okay, guys, there it is all. I've got a clamp here and a clamp here. It would be sort of advantageous to put a clamp between the hill here and the base of the guitar, but I don't have a clamp that long with me. And you might be able to see right here one of the places where I didn't quite get it glued up right, but like I said, we're not going to worry about that. This guitar has been in bad shape for a really long time. It's already in better shape than it's been in years. So, like I said, our goal was just to get to something that was semi-playable and something that looks a little better hanging in my collection. So, next I need to get the bridge sorted on this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape it up and we're going to start making some marks. This guitar is a 24-inch scale, which means it should be 24-inch from the bottom of the nut to the bridge. Where did the bridge go? There's the bridge. Let me get up some of this glue before it creates a problem. So you see this is at a diagonal. This is where your bridge should be. It should be 24 inches from here to here. And it would be a little longer on your bass side. And the reason why is to help with the intonation at the 12th fret. On an acoustic guitar, you really can't set the intonation unless you have a floating bridge. On an electric, you'd be able to adjust the saddles to get your 12th fret intonation in, which would mean you'd be exactly 1 octave higher at the 12th than you would be at the, I'm sorry, here's the 12th fret right here. You'd be 1 octave higher at the 12th fret exactly and in tune at the 12th. That means the whole fretboard would be in tune, or as close as you could reasonably get it. Anyway, we'll get set up and get this done in just a second. Okay, so what I did was I found mark that was 24 inches from the nut on both sides, and you can see I messed up with my first measurement, so measure twice. Then I found a mark that was 3/16 of an inch ahead of 24 inches, which would line up with the front of the bridge. I took the straight edge and went down the neck of the guitar, scribed 2 lines, which would be the same distance and parallel to the neck. And then I just found that I needed to add, I think it was a 1/2 inch to each side. Maybe it was right at 9/16, 5/8, I think, to each side, and created a mark, lined my neck up, and just traced around it with a small Sharpie. Now, what we're going to do is cut this out, sand this area, and prep it to glue the bridge on. Okay guys, so what I've done is I've had to drill the bridge, and I drilled it to 3/16. I've still got to get a ream. The pins are taper shaped, and I did not realize these bridges were not already reamed to match the pins, so I'm going to have to get some, I'm going to have to order a set of reams to ream these holes to get them the final size. No big deal. It'll just be next week. But I drilled 2 holes. I'm probably going to go ahead and do these 2 and then do these 2 and put screws to hold the bridge down tight until the glue can dry. Hey guys, Valerie and I have been back from Acoustic for a couple weeks now. Just wanted to wrap up this video on the guitar. As you can see, we got it together. I ran into some issues with the pegs for the strings. 3/16 hole was too much. I probably need to go down to like a, whatever's below 3/16, 1/8, I believe. On the next one, we'll go to a smaller size bit before we try to do the taper. But anyway, it turned out really good. The action on the guitar is pretty good. It's a little high at the back, but I was expecting that. If I wanted to, I could take a little bit out of the bridge and get the action a little lower. But realistically, I don't play guitar very well. I mean, maybe some power chords, but I never really learned how to play the guitar. My fingers are, 2 fingers are as wide as the neck. So anyway, like I said, Valerie took some pictures while we were at Ocracoke. I'm going to include them in the video. But like I said, that's it for this week. And next time, we got one more guitar to do when we're on vacation the next time, whenever that is. And we'll get the other guitar done then. Y'all have a good day. Thank you for watching.